Hello and welcome to the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike and Laurent. Mike is back. His family is gone. Or they're around, but somewhere. It is Tuesday, August 22nd. In this episode, the Premier League goes bonkers, Chelsea choke, Newcastle fight to the death, and Liverpool lost. But first, Mike, how much pride should we take in our MLS, Major Leeds Soccer?
Major Leeds Soccer. I'm excited for them. I'm happy.
And how good can the Premier League get? This was intense.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you've got, so much for Newcastle not being much of a problem. You got Brighton really being a pain in the ass. Palace looked like trouble for everybody. We said this a lot towards the end of last season when the relegation picture was pretty much in focus, and also the promotion picture was like, we knew who was coming up, and we were like, there's not going to be any teams that truly their plan A is going to be park the bus all the time, right? They're going to be attacking football pretty much almost all the way down the table, certainly much deeper down the table than it ever had been before or quite some time. So I love that Leeds stayed up. I love that Marsch got the Yanks reinforcements and that they're going after it. And they put one on Chelsea. Now, granted, that was self-inflicted, you want to say, right? With Mendy, but
yeah, but they
were all over them. They
were all over them. Yeah,
right.
They were all over.
Yes, Mendy fucked that up and gifted them a goal, but they worked him into stress and into submission, basically. So, yeah, and look, if you want to call that one a fluke, which it most certainly was, the one 4 minutes later certainly wasn't. So, good on him for catching a bounce and going for the throat. So,
all right, we got to talk United, we got to talk Liverpool, but let me do the scores.
Let's go around.
All right. Tottenham 1, Wolves 0. Wolves could have been ahead in this game. Tottenham pulled it out in the second half. Fulham 3, Brentford 2. This was a really good game. Ivan Toney had 2 called offside and killed my parlay. And then Palace 3, Aston Villa 1. Aston Villa, they came back. They put these on him. Louis Zaha is a real son of a bitch. And then I got this one right. Everton 1, Nottingham Forest 1. The draw late on a goal kick from Pickford and Gray. Very nice. Leicester 1, Southampton 2. Southampton also come back. Our friend Che Adams beast moding poor Leicester, who are in crisis. Then the last game on Saturday, Bournemouth 0, Arsenal 3. This one is going to be famous for the Saliba song to Tequila, which is pretty funny, but they've probably already overdone it. And then the early game Sunday, my beloved Brighton, who I was going to pick Thursday, Sunday, West Ham, no shot. They still haven't scored a goal. Brighton 2-0 over West Ham at the London Stadium. Then we were just talking about it. Leeds 3-0 over Chelsea. Chelsea in crisis. Tuchel's a clown. Then Newcastle 3, Manchester City 3. There's 2 massive first-run games at the beginning of the day. But then today, Monday, Manchester United 2, Liverpool 1. Wowie wow. This on any other week, this is a month worth of games happening in 1 week. What an incredible league we have. And we have to go straight to Old Trafford.
Yeah.
First things first, we do have Casemiro signed for United. He's at the game. He's hugging Roy Keane, which is an appropriate hug. So he's there. That's good. And then there's a lot of other stuff. You want to talk lineups?
Lineups, yes. We have to talk lineups. Harry Maguire dropped. Cristiano Ronaldo dropped. Neither of these players mainstays for United last year.
Shaw dropped.
That's right. Well, he wasn't really playing that much, but the headlines were the first two, and Fred to a lesser extent.
Shaw had been in every lineup forever.
Well, Delot was right there, was my point. I have Delot on my fantasy team because I was waiting for him to take Shaw's job. Anyway, point being, it was jarring to hear that the rumors kind of earlier in the day that was likely to happen. We said it, Ten Hag has to kind of make this his. It's not, and we covered Maguire right at the end of last season when he got the death threats about somebody blowing up his house, which objectively is pretty funny to think about a crazy English guy who just is probably wasted all the time. And he just is like thinking about him trying to make a bomb is funny to me. But anyway.
Well, these are the same people that funded the IRA, so they'll probably know how to make a bomb.
This guy probably won't, is my point. Right? People who know how to make bombs aren't going to tell people in emails that they're going to bomb them.
I think the irony of it was after the week that United have. So United have 9 days, which is like, this is perfect for Ten Hag. They have 9 days. It's crisis. It's doom. We covered it. Brentford had blown the doors off them. They were a mess. It was over. There's protests. They're signing everyone. So there's a massive protest before this game.
Elon Musk is tweeting that he's going to buy the team.
There's all this stuff happening. And then the lineups come out, and you're like, okay, Ten Hag's making a statement, but it's got to work. And then within 30 seconds, you can see it's going to work. They are flying. They are coming at it. And it's not just the first 10 minutes where you sort of expect it. But on the flip side of it, Liverpool are walking wounded. Their midfield is Milner, Henderson, Elliott, which is just like rough. No Fabinho. We don't know why.
Yeah.
The back four is still the back four, except it's Joe Gomez, who last started with Van Dijk in the 7-1 against Aston Villa. So just to keep that in mind. But Liverpool were just bad. They weren't connected. They weren't together. Firmino came back in. He didn't do much. They just couldn't get anything going. And the United midfield... And here's the tweet of the week. I don't know where it was, but credit to whoever said it. The half goes past, and the line is, McTominay played. He wasn't the worst midfielder in the game. He wasn't the second worst midfielder in the game. So that's a big step.
Yeah.
And because it was Milner and the whole Liverpool midfield, they were playing a 4-0-3 because the midfield was gone. They were just getting bypassed.
Well, and it was interesting to see Eriksen sort of playing as an 8.
He was that's what he need. That's what they need him for, because they don't have someone to do it.
Well, flashback a week ago, Eriksen, no fault of his own, but I've seen this as a Spurs supporter many times where he doesn't seem to belong on his own side of the field, unless it's on the wings and he's over there for a minute. He's a liability in a position where you can get caught with your pants down very, very easily. And so this was surprising, and I think it was a lot of, yes, United came out and they came out swinging, but Liverpool came out really, really
so
flaccid.
Bad.
Just flaccid.
Bad. But like the space, like Sancho was wide. He was free on his goal. He was free. It was like a over the top. He's sitting there. He puts down Milner. And this is the one where, and then you see Milner yell at Van Dijk. Van Dijk just sits there with his hands behind his back. I'm like, you could have closed him down.
Yeah.
That was weird. But the buildup was good and everything was good. And then the second goal by Rashford was just on the break, over the top, bing, bang, boom. I think, was it Martial? I don't know. It was still
it was
really
Bruno, but whatever. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But they get the goal and then they hang on. I mean, Liverpool huffed and puffed. I'm sure they get their goal, and in probably the last 10 minutes, I'm sure United fans were scared because they're not used to being in this position, and Liverpool pushing is about as scary a team pushing as my team.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
As City pushing, right?
Things that you got. Sorry,
but I think the bigger thing is just like we had been saying this. We as fans of not Liverpool, of anti-fans, because we watch them and hate them, right? We're like, if there's anti-racists, which is bullshit, there's anti-fans. We're anti-Liverpool fans, meaning we watch them, we care about everything that they do, and hate them.
Yep. But it doesn't mean we don't know them.
Right. So as anti-fans of Liverpool, I know them inside and out. They have been riding luck for ages. And these narrative changes that, they have a will to win. I'm like, they're going to fucking lose these games. Like the first half, it was Salah pulling shit out of his ass. They'd come out flat in halves. They had gone 8 games in a row giving up the first goal. There's no way it was sustainable. Football doesn't work like that. If you stink and you keep playing badly, you will start to lose. And it finally happened. Granted, there's injuries everywhere, whatever. United took it to them. It was like Leeds versus Chelsea. Same kind of energy of just like, we're not fucking going out like punks. And that's all United fans wanted.
And more importantly, and even more so in a derby like this, we're not afraid of you, and you should fear us. How dare you forget who we are, was sort of the ethos of that team today. And it was interesting to see that really come out swinging and punching them in the face. But again, Liverpool let them have it. And I think that there's 2 things. One, and I want to touch on this because the second one is bigger, but like Lisandro Martinez was really strong in the back. really strong.
He was so good.
And then the second piece,
so Argentinian, just like going to war.
And listen, we have some egg on our face because we were like, hey, he's 4'6". This isn't going to work. Obviously, he's a talented player, the height being what it is. But he was fantastic today. The second, Jurgen Klopp pulled a Pep. He outsmarted, and granted, okay, you've got injuries.
Maybe that's different. I don't think they had the play. I think it's different than pulling a Pep, where Pep does something he never does ever in a million years in the biggest game of the year. This is more
plays every time he's healthy. Always.
Yeah. Who knows how healthy he was? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, if he was healthy enough for 30, and I find this, and I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a sports scientist by any.
Yeah, I don't know how it works either.
But I mean, I look at the fixture list, and you've got Bournemouth next week, right? At home. You're not going very far. You're in Manchester. I don't know. You have nothing the fuck to do for 5-6 days now because it's a short week, I suppose. But you had extra time to prepare for this. If he can play 30, I don't understand why he can't play 60 and start the game. If he can't go full 90, I don't necessarily understand the reasons why. Fine. But I don't understand why he doesn't start the game and give you the best chance to win for as long as possible. I don't get that.
So I think there's two things that are here, and these are real questions that Liverpool has to answer. One, have they lost the league? I mean, I'm not being hyperbolic. If City are going to put up a 90, provided someone pushes them, Liverpool can't be 7 points. I mean, we'll go to City in a minute, but just like, I guess the question is more, do those point levels reach those numbers because they're pushing each other? Or will City just be able to motivate itself to push itself over 90? Because if City's going to go over 90, it's over for Liverpool.
So I don't think that they will, for the reasons we said at the open of the show, where Leeds is putting up 3 on Chelsea and Newcastle's putting up 3 on you. So that's a whole different conversation. But I don't think Newcastle. I don't think Leeds, not Leeds either. I don't think Liverpool needs to worry about anybody the fuck else aside from the men in that room right now.
They got to get a win. They're on the schneid.
They're looking down the barrel of 2 draws against unimpressive teams and a United team that couldn't buy a win. Right?
I literally texted you. This is the biggest lock for a loss on United that there has been ever.
Yeah, I listened to you. But no, it's
but everyone thought that. Gary Neville's
come on.
I can't believe what I just saw.
Too. No,
yeah.
Of course I thought that too. But yeah, I mean,
man, it's crazy.
It's for me, Liverpool has a lot of questions to answer. And obviously, as you said, we can't underline this enough. There are injury issues and health problems, but I think that there's more going on there. Is Luis Diaz an answer? Jota's being out of the loop has been struggling, like troubles from them. Put it this way. They don't have any attacking real talent on the bench. Nunez is suspended. Jota is hurt.
Yeah, they were down a lot of guys.
Carvalho, for the second week in a row, comes off the bench, looks fantastic.
I told you.
Oh, I hate how good he looks. Really, and this goes back to the anti-fan things. Yeah. You're going to call me Antifa by the end of the show.
No. We're not calling. Well, maybe that could be a thing.
I'm going to put a mask on for the next segment.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like but he's not at it yet. He's not ready to start, or is he? I don't know. But it's interesting that Nunez clearly brings them something they haven't had since Suarez. And that's not to say that he's better than Salah, but he's just different. And when they're on the field at the same time, unless he's headbutting people, then they're really dangerous in a couple of different ways.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they had Nat Phillips playing next to Van Dijk. And
that was the other game, yeah. No,
right, no, that's what I'm saying. But Van Dijk is getting a little bit long in the tooth now, too.
Something is off.
Yeah,
there.
Something stinks.
I have a guy that I follow, EPL Index on Twitter. He's really good. I've been chatting with him a little bit. And I got into an argument, but it wasn't quite right. I kind of felt like last season, it was like whoever was next to Van Dijk, it was fine. And then Alisson would bail Van Dijk out whenever it looked bad. Like if Van Dijk was out of position or did something wrong, invariably Alisson would save shots that he had no right to save.
Yep, sure.
Right? But that sort of hid some of the Van Dijk sort of creakiness that he's going from otherworldly to now he's a great defender. He's not just like anybody can play next to him.
Yes.
Because That was weird. That Milner yelling at him, like, what the fuck was going on? The spacing, like, what were they doing? Like, this was, let's just put it this way. If that was City, they would have annihilated Liverpool, like, to another international death hole. Mm-hmm. Like, they were bad. Yeah. Really bad. Anyway, so where do you want to go? That's Liverpool. Well, do you want to go to Chelsea? Do you want?
Let's go right into City a little bit because I mean, you hit on
an amazing game.
I think to compare the two Manchester sides for a second, and then we'll switch to Newcastle and Man City, and I'll give you the floor because I was tracking it, but I didn't get to see a lot of it. But United had the run of the game, even despite the fact they really didn't have possession.
Yeah.
Right. So, it makes you think, well, okay, Liverpool still are playing sort of the game they wanted, or was that sort of Ten Hag's plan the whole time to say, we're going to be pressing you, but we're not really going to have the ball? It was sort of strange.
I think they pressed, which is what they wanted to do. I think the big difference is United, and this is weird to say, did what the minimum of a Premier League team should do, which is they ran, they fought, they played together, they followed a game plan, and didn't get outworked.
Right.
And because they're that talented, by not getting outworked, they created chances for themselves. Bad teams, when they do that, they miss the chances. Your Rashford on goal fucks up. The cutback against Milner gets stopped, and then the big team goes on and finishes. But this is basically United playing as a promoted team and getting the win. Do you know what I mean? But except they have a super team. The other pieces that I think about a lot is this is what United was supposed to be. Varane without Ronaldo. They got hijacked by Ronaldo's agent, who tricked them into believing that he was going to sign for City, or if he was, City were going to get a bargain or whatever. It was always supposed to be Bruno, Sancho, Rashford, Martial on the break going. And Ronaldo broke that. He broke Bruno because Bruno's just like, this is my countryman. I'm with him. These international breaks are not international breaks. I'm like hanging out with this dude all the time. Yeah. He goes from a goal or an assist at 0.9, almost a goal a game, a goal or an assist a game, to a goal or assist every other game. He basically becomes half the player he is. And now he's back. He doesn't have to worry about all that stuff. Although he should have got sent off, like you said, with the fucking.
Oh my God! We didn't even touch on that.
The ball thing was crazy.
We didn't even touch on that. So hold on. So here's why I lost my fucking parlay, Bruno. I wish that there was some I was trying to come up with a mildly socially acceptable slur for Portuguese people that I could yell at my television when I bet on Manchester United. I can't think of one, but if anybody has one, please let us know. But the point is, I needed one more shot from him. And if you remember, the first yellow card he gets is for simulation because he takes an extra touch in the box and goes down instead of just shooting the ball. You son of a bitch, Bruno.
And then he almost gets sent off for the worst time wasting after the Salah goal.
So the play goes on. Right. The play goes on. Salah scores. And you've seen it every time when a team is trailing by a goal or 2 goals and they score. They run into the net, they get the ball, and the other team is like, fuck you, I want it, blah, blah, blah. This was egregious to the point where
he had it for like 30 seconds.
Who was it? It was Michael. I keep wanting to say Anthony Taylor, but it's not. The ref gets involved, but it was Salah and I think Diaz were like yelling at Bruno to get him the ball.
And then he dove and he got hit in the face. What are you doing?
But the ref is shoving the Liverpool players away and letting Bruno continue on.
Michael Oliver,
thank you. If he doesn't have a yellow, that's an obvious yellow. Like he's getting one.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, you don't want to send the guy off for it, but
but it was egregious. It was bad.
Yeah,
for me.
And this is the thing that annoys me about Bruno so much. I am anti-United as well. I watch a lot of United, but they're not fun to watch. Like Liverpool are just like, you fuckers, you're so good, I hate you, especially at Anfield. But the theatricality and the fucking Freddie Mercury teeth. It's just like, does he have the AIDS yet? Like, just fuck off. Is he gonna sing at Wembley? I don't know. I'm just over the dude. He just wants somebody to love him. Hey,
there it is. Nicely done. Nicely tied up. All right, let's go on to City.
Yeah, so City, I told you once I saw Stones and Ake in the lineup, I was like, this is going to go weird. But I was happy to see that Walker was there. And City get their goal in the first 5 minutes, and it's like, resume regular service. No problem. Right. Okay, fine. But not so fast, my friend, to steal, is that Lee Corso?
It's Lee
steal
Corso.
Lee Corso's line.
Orlando native.
Yeah. To steal Lee Corso's line, City turned down the gas, and this is not Rafa Benitez and fucking Steve Bruce's Newcastle. No. This is Eddie Howe's Newcastle. This is Joe Linton in the midfield, kicking ass, taking names, and being like, I'm 6'3", built like a brick shithouse, and you little fucking tricky wingers, I'm getting this ball off you. And he did. Joe Willock runs all day. He may not be able to do anything else, but he can run. Almiron runs all day, pretends he can score, and then misses. But so City get disjointed. They're messing around with things, and Alan St. Maximin has the fucking game of his life. You know I love him. I've always loved him. His haircut now looks like he's wearing a headband, but he isn't. He basically has grown his dreadlocks to look like they're under a headband, but he's not wearing one. John Stones was petrified. He thought he was going to die. Almiron missed 2 sitters, I think, and then ended up scoring one on a cutback by St. Maximin. And Newcastle pull this game up. They're up. Is it 2-1 that they go up? Or 3-1? They go up 3-1 late in the game. Let me just. I got to bring it up.
With the Trippier.
The Trippier free kick is fucking gold, but that's because John Stones has to foul. So let me get it right. So City go up in 5 minutes from Gundogan. Then it's Almiron and Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson, secretly one of the great finishers in the league. He's in the Jermaine Defoe, Danny Ings, Darren Bent, good strikers in the Premier League. They never get higher. It used to be that they ended up at Spurs, but now Spurs is too good for them because they've had Harry Kane all this time. So he's kind of stuck in this middle nether region. He's definitely going to Everton next. Do you know what I mean? Like he's in that realm of people, but he has another good finish outside the boot. If he doesn't get hurt, he's going to score 20 goals. And then, so City's now down 3-1 early second half on the Trippier foul. Trippier now has 4 direct free kick goals. The captain for Newcastle.
With Newcastle.
Yeah. And then City's just like, nah, we're not going for that. Haaland gets on the end of one after something from Silva. And then De Bruyne with the no-look freaking... I mean, it's not a crazy pass from De Bruyne, but no-look, diagonal run, nutmeg on Joe Willock to finish for Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva's not going anywhere, by the way.
What was the line from Pep? He's going to Barcelona because we're all going to play a friendly.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
There's that. Pep weirdly doesn't make any changes, so I never want to hear him complain. He made 1 change in the game late. Foden, again, does not make the pass to Haaland. Pep nearly explodes. Foden is on a periphery of this game. But City pull it out again. They get the 3-3. It's hopefully this game becomes in retrospect, a good point where you go, the 3-3 against Newcastle. Oh, they're 5th in the league. And you're like, okay, fine. Yeah, that's good. Or they're going to be a really good, the Badland tune. You know what I mean? But it was scary. Like, City should never go down that much. But St. Maximin is a problem for everyone.
Sure. And the way that I
thought he was going to kill Kyle Walker.
This game has already aged well if you're Manchester City based on the results at Old Trafford, right? So you go into the weekend and you go, all right, well, City should take care of Newcastle, as somebody on the show said. But so they're 6 points from 2 games. They're fine. Liverpool are stumbling. Listen, we expected both clubs to hold serve. We expected Liverpool to get their first win and City to maintain their 3-for-3 perfect record. Neither of those things happened. But when over the weekend, when Newcastle went even with City, you go, and there's the door, the creak in the door, and here comes Liverpool, right? Well, wrong, right? And so to your point, are City going to run away and hide with this? I don't think so, because I do think that there are more Newcastles and there are more performances like we saw from
many
United.
Good teams in the league. Yeah.
But it was interesting to get that son of a bitch, here comes Liverpool again versus, oh, no, actually, they have a whole host of problems in that dressing room right now. So for me, I mean, I'm not going to be as on. I saw this weekend's results, and I tried so hard not to be the idiot Sky Sports guy, right? To say, oh, well, Liverpool might not finish in the top 4. They're fucking relegation, whatever.
No,
right?
No. I think the top 4 will still. I think it there. What I think is, and what I believe in my whole heart is just like, one, this season's going to be weird because of the way it's set up.
Sure.
We've got 5 games before the transfer window closes. We've got a World Cup in the middle of it, and then it's going to be a sprint to the death at the end with basically like new teams just being like, okay, we just half our guys are in the World Cup, half aren't. Half of them are going to come home early.
Right.
So
yeah, the World Cup break, and I think it's being made to be more than it is because there's only a handful of players who are going to progress longer than it being really
2
a
weeks?
long international break.
Yeah.
Right. It'll be a 3-week international break for most of these teams.
But I mean, there was going to be a
3
handful
games.
of big players like teams like
sure.
Liverpool and City. We're gonna
And Spurs.
Spurs. Yeah. Spurs is all.
No,
in.
absolutely. But do I think that Sonny is going to be back at Hotspur Way pretty quickly? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So,
but they might be
gutted.
gutted. There's going to be a mental thing. There's all that. But I that part's fascinating. So City get their draw. They're playing well. The Haaland thing is looking good. He's able to get into space. It's just taking a little bit of time. I think, the last 2 seasons I've been like, oh my God, we're doomed. City at this point in the season, sometimes 10 or 15 games in, are back of the pack, kind of assessing almost like a sprinter, and then they go to the outside and they take off, and you're like, where the fuck is that Kenyan going? he's just gone. You're like, okay, I guess Kenyans altitude, something's going on.
Right.
And then there's Liverpool running with them, and there's all of a sudden you're like, all those white guys are behind there, and there's these 2 Kenyans just gone. Meb Koflezgi, I don't know. I'm making up runners' names.
But no, this sort of helter-skelter weekend brings us to back to Leeds and how they dismantled Chelsea. And this is another one where Chelsea are sort of in limbo and in trouble too, right? Like they beat a really bad Everton team. They obviously drew with Spurs, but
they were good versus Spurs.
Even I'm saying they were the better side.
Yeah.
But Conte's leg went to Spurs along with those points that they dropped, right?
Yeah.
So you look at Leeds, who went, that midfield is arguably without Conte, it's about as good as Liverpool's was earlier today.
It was a Reagan-Gorbachev summit. The missiles were on the table. It was great. Former Soviets versus with a Gestapo coach versus fucking Captain America. All the stuff's colliding. I got Russians. We need a Abramovich back. We needed it all. But now we've got Bowley. That doesn't count. But they're all former KGB. The team, that is.
Yeah, right. But no, so I mean, but is Chelsea going to be fine? Yes, but until Conte gets back, they're firmly in trouble. They're on upset watch every week, and
I have 2 things that trouble me about this game. One, and I think we talked about it late back half of last year. Mendy might not actually be good. He may have just looked good when they were top of the league.
All, he was great in AFCON, and he's huge. He's like 6'5".
But so he's not to be playing balls with his feet, especially when our Lord and Savior from Central Jersey, Mr. Aronson, he was moving 4,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. And Marsch's celebration is bananas. And Rodrigo now has 5 goals. Bamford, who? Fuck that guy. You're gone. You're never coming back. Fuck off. But that was an amazing performance. And the thing that I'm thinking about now is, like, to quote my friend Bill Simmons, who you probably don't like anymore, but I still like him because I'm old. Are we sure Tuchel's good? Or is he burnout? Is he German Brendan Rodgers?
Oh, I mean, well, we talked about this, I think, on Saturday.
I think he might be German Brendan Rodgers.
We talked about this on Saturday during the game, and what he's a defensive coach. And so when you look at Chelsea and you go, well, they have all these wingers, they've had all these strikers come through, and they just can't seem to figure it the fuck out. Yeah, that lies firmly at the feet of Thomas Tuchel, but you also kind of can't be surprised. That is who he is. That's not news to anyone.
Yeah,
right?
maybe Neymar and Mbappe were right.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
The dude got fired.
Yeah, right.
In the middle of the season.
Wow, that's not news for PSG. Does that shit all the time.
No, they don't actually.
No, they do right after they lose in Champions League. Right, Pochettino was the only one that didn't have that happen to him.
I don't know any of them got fired mid-season.
I can't back that up.
I don't think they got fired mid-season.
I thought it was
now he did get to win the Champions League. He does have that thing. He gets to have the whole thing. But the other part that's interesting is here's a guy who's emotional. He has essentially flattened out the whole club, right? Like it's Tuchel and Bowley. There's nothing in between.
Right.
Does he go, we must have Aubameyang?
Well, that's the other thing, right? Like, you have a striker problem. And I was shocked. I guess I have seen him around forever, but Aubameyang's 33.
Yeah.
So his main feature is his speed. He's 33. That's going to be slowing down if it hasn't already. I haven't watched him at Barcelona. He's actually been pretty good from what the stats tell me.
No, he's not. They're not playing him.
No, not this season. Last season.
Right, but here's the thing. He's an Arsenal reject that Arsenal had to pay
to get rid
of.
To
leave.
Yeah, right. No. Believe me, you don't have to sell me on this. But now the answer to your problems is
he's Olivier Giroud.
At best, oh my God! At best, that's at unbelievably best. He's a certifiable clubhouse cancer, right?
Sure.
Because that's exactly what he was in Liverpool. In Arsenal. He is. I can't get any team name right today. He is, like I said, he's well above 30, and you're bringing him in for. I'm sorry. Is it a bargain deal? Is it 5-10 million? You're offering them 30 million. How Barcelona, by the way, they already took Rafinha from you. They already took Koundé from you.
Who they can't register.
They can't register Koundé until they make a sale. So they're going to take 30 million from you for a guy that's not going to play for them so that they can register the player that they took from under your nose. Let's just go ahead and think about that one, Chelsea. If nothing else, Todd, find some pettiness in there and go, you know what? Fuck you. Make Koundé sit on the sidelines for a couple more weeks, right?
What was weird? What was also weird about that game was just Koulibaly looked slow and Thiago is slow, and that Leeds energy it just looked like there was an extra guy. And what made me sad was like Conor Gallagher got his first start. He's not ready. He's not ready for this.
I'll use a hockey analogy.
Or he's not the right player for that team.
That's
the way
possible.
They want to play.
That's possible. Watching him play for Palace last year, he was unencumbered and he looked like he had broken free. And now at Chelsea, to use a hockey analogy, he's squeezing the stick way too tight, right? You can tell he's fighting for every minute he's on the pitch. Conte's out. This is my chance. I better not fuck this up. Why would I say that? Wait, no, hold on. You can tell that he's in his head a little bit.
He's not a passer. He's a all action.
He's a bulldog.
Get the ball, run with it.
Yeah.
Do stuff, right? Just do stuff. But he's not like a precision. Oh, I'm going to pick my head up, pick it back. I'm going to bounce it off Jorginho and then whip it around the corner to this runner that I know he's going to run. No, he's getting the ball. He's running and going to elbow someone. Mm-hmm. Right? He's an English midfielder, but the best version of like a championship caliber player.
He's a good Mark Noble, right? Like
right.
You know, so right. Yeah, and I you know how hard it is for me to feel sorry for a Chelsea player, but we loved him so much on Palace last year, and I genuinely when he saw Tottenham with Palace, he saw blood in the water, and he just acted right, and he bullied Spurs last year, and so. I wish I don't want him to succeed with Chelsea because that means Chelsea does well, but I hate to see him flounder a little bit. So hopefully he goes out on loan again somewhere and it fucking kills it. But
I mean, we can probably do the other group of our fans, your team and Arsenal's team, little juxtaposition, little narrative shifty, like your team's kind of little spurry, little sputtering, sputtery.
What I'll say
and then Arsenal are getting narrative like build up from playing shitty teams.
So, okay. They beat the shit. And we've got 3 games to go off of. So we'll go Spurs quick and then Arsenal quick.
Yeah.
Spurs beat the shit out of Southampton, but not before conceding. a hard-fought, resilient draw against Chelsea, where I've said it many
It's a
times
good
before.
draw.
It's a great draw, especially because they got their shit kicked out of them. They got outplayed like crazy.
But they figured it out, which was also important.
And then they have a bad right. That's right. They got interesting with the formations and with the substitutions. And the 5-sub thing came into play immediately. We didn't really talk about that last week. I was fired up. But this Wolves game, very, again, similar to the Southampton game, less, aside from the 4-1 scoreline. A really shaky start. Wolves could have and arguably should have had one, maybe more. Then Spurs continue to grow into the game, and they pretty much take hold. Look, the
second
XG, half
was all Spurs, yeah.
Right. The XG isn't close. And for a game that's even, right, we always talk about how XG is sort of a flawed stat. It's very good. It's just not perfect. And a lot of times you see teams, we said this about Brighton a lot, I think a year or 2 years ago, where they were losing a lot. So their XG is slanted a little bit more than it probably should be. This is a 0-0 game. Okay. So, I can find the XG, but I remember a buddy of mine who was a Wolves supporter who just got engaged yesterday. Congratulations, Figo. Hey. We love you. The XG was, let me pull it up, 1.67 to 0.71. That's not close, right? So Wolves had a ton of shots. They had 20 shots, but only like 3 or 4 on target. They were just shooting like a drunk FIFA player from everywhere. And Spurs really started to continue to control the game, I'd say, for 50 to 60 minutes of that 90. So, yeah. But again, shaky, a lot to figure out, especially in the midfield. What is the right permutation of Bissouma and Bentancur and Højbjerg, and where does Perisic play into that on the wings and so on? So there's finding the best 11 is still a task for Conte, and that's okay. That's okay.
So
they have 2 wins in a draw.
I have a funny stat. Wolves played more Portuguese players than Sporting Lisbon did on Saturday.
Wow, that's funny. That's really funny. I heard something that Eric Dyer would be able to understand them speaking. Portuguese.
Because he's Portuguese. Well, he grew up.
He played at Sporting. But so
I mean, it's a lot of Portuguese on that team.
That is
crazy.
A lot of Portuguese.
So that's pretty funny.
He's Portuguese. So if he's listening, then he will appreciate that stat very much. But now let's go to the other side of North London, and you look at Arsenal's 3 games. And away at Crystal Palace, that's a good win. I think we said enough about Palace. It's a very good win. They beat the shit out of a, frankly, bad Leicester side. This is not to speak anything of Arsenal or their quality or Jesus, but that win sort of is going to age not poorly, but not as sexy, right?
And they were cruising. They gave up goals, but always made it 2. Right. They were fine.
And then they beat a bad Bournemouth side. Again, they go on the road, and so it's a good win. But I mean, it's a game you go, hey, you should take the points here. So yes, they look fantastic. Jesus looks unbelievable. Xhaka looks good for some fucking reason. Odegaard, my goodness, he's unconscious. You couldn't have asked for a better start for Arsenal.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I think the Palace game was tough, and Palace they could have lost that game. Palace missed really easy shots.
Yeah.
The Jesus thing is interesting. He's had more cool plays and runs and attacks and dribbles than he did in 5 years with City.
Well, which
is really frustrating because I watched Jesus all the time, and I do think about the structure of City. It does not allow for a center forward to do the things that Jesus is doing now.
Right.
He's fucking going through every game. He has a moment where he's just I'm just going through guys.
Yeah.
Now maybe that's their interpretation of Pep, or Pep just fucks you. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, and it could be similar to what I brought up with Gallagher. He has a new lease on life. He's in Arsenal. This club sought him out.
But now he has a Gestapo officer as a fucking coach.
Well, it actually is interesting, right? Because, Arteta is not all that intentionally, not all that different and far from Pep. And he certainly knows Jesus from his time there. So it's interesting.
He's younger. Maybe I don't think anyone is as intense as Pep. It's just not possible.
No. But the other thing is you also don't have 5 attacking players who are, chomping at the bit for those minutes, despite the fact that none of them play your position and they're still taking them from you. Right. So,
right. The idea that all this time City was sitting on a striker of Jesus's quality and Pep didn't see it. That's on Pep.
No, I don't think. See, I don't think that Pep didn't see it. I genuinely think that there's the psychology of the player that says, iron sharpens iron, and everybody makes everybody else better. But you have to be allowed to fail. And at Manchester City, you're not allowed to fail. You said it yourself. Phil Foden his head might be on a stake tomorrow morning, right?
Riyad Mahrez is going to play.
Right. So you've got these things where these players feel that pressure and they wilt under it sometimes, whereas they get a new ability to go to Arsenal where they're going to be the guy.
They're free.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing that I thought about with that Arsenal game, though, is if Odegaard is going to shoot, then look out. Like if he gets to 10 to 15 goals, then that's a big deal.
Oh, absolutely.
All of a sudden, he's top 5 midfielder in the league. Like he's that good.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, he's got first of all, let's roll it back real quick. That Eriksen, he's got that Eriksen look, but even before you go back, he was a wonder kid for Real Madrid. He wasn't some kid in Sporting in Portugal, right? He wasn't some kid randomly at Real.
We've known about him for 10 years.
We've heard about this kid as the Norwegian Freddie Adu, but he came good, right? So more power to Arsenal for unlocking him the same way they seem to have unlocked Jesus. And look, their next few games still pretty cushy. They're at home against Fulham,
they have easy games.
Yeah, which are games, Aston Villa, which look like a mess. We'll touch on them in a second. And then they go to Old Trafford, which should be a really fun one. But that's 3 weeks away. If you go into that 5-0, okay,
could be good. I'm looking at next week's fixtures, and I got scared because I got Palace.
Right. Yeah, no, but I mean, looking at it from Arsenal's point of view, they're really in good shape. And by the way, Spurs have Nottingham Forest, which it won't be a pushover game, but something you expect them to get the points. And then on transfer deadline day, they go to West Ham. So we'll see.
West Ham, we got other games to cover that are interesting. So we've got Spurs. Yes. Everyone's in good shape. West Ham have not scored a goal in the league yet. They've 3 clean sheeted. They've had 3 clean sheets put on them. I don't know. That doesn't sound right. Anyway, Brighton wins.
Is that Neil Mopé? Is that Neil Mopé?
Yeah, I'm thinking Clans. I don't know what's happening.
Jesus.
But my friends from Brighton, always kicking ass. They took it to them again. They are now like getting into a space where I don't feel like I'm alone in my. I mean, maybe I'm not. Maybe like when does Potter start getting put into jobs? Like,
we've been screaming it for 2 years,
but now it's like, is it really going to happen? Is Aston Villa up for availability?
The question you need to ask yourself, and I know the answer, but right now the way the teams are constructed, is Aston Villa, is Leicester City a better job than Brighton? Your immediate thought is, yeah, of course, but is it?
No,
right?
I don't know.
It's not.
They don't have the structure, or we don't know. We don't know what the structure is, but I think we have to go back and remember what Brighton was. Brighton was Dunk and Duffy and a cloud of dust. It was 4-4-2. It was fucking Glenn Murray up front with the accountant's comb over, and that was Chris Hughton's team, and they were defensive grossitude. And Potter took that team and transformed it like that. Yep. So, because I had known about him, like I know we've gone through the history. Ostersunds, Europa League. It's like he was the manager of Borussia Glimt again. Like, I'm keeping my eye on that guy because I know that when he comes away from that team in Norway and he takes a championship sides team, I'm gonna be like, what is that guy doing? Because that's a guy who's winning in a situation that's really hard. It means something. Like, Mourinho was nobody. He just happened to be at Porto and he did something otherworldly, right? Like, these guys are out there. There's managers out there. So Potter is that guy, and I wonder what job he's going to take. Whether he's the type to leave mid-season, he's not going to pull a Rodgers.
That's the other thing. If it has to be, if we said, if Tuchel, his ass gets a little bit hotter, if the Chelsea job comes available, pretending that if Newcastle had gotten off to a bad start, if Eddie Howe got canned, right?
Are you ready for a funnier one? what if Marsch plays really well with Leeds and Bowley's like, you want the Chelsea job?
Yeah, right. And we'll take Aronson and we'll take Adams and we'll put him next to Pulisic. We won't play any of them, right? Like,
yeah. What did Raj call Adams? He called him the Wappingers Falls Conte.
Oh, love that. They did such a good job with the almost fight that they were talking about how between Tuchel and Conte, of course, and they did 25 minutes. Highly recommend watching the Men in Blazers talking about the almost fight. And they were talking about how the almost fight is better than if they had actually popped off and hit each other.
Oh, yeah, because then it would have been uncomfortable.
Well, no, because they're like, it leads everything to imagination. And he was saying how like that Conte has a shank up his ass that he hides.
Oh, yes, of course.
It's unbelievable.
So we talked Brighton, West Ham. Leicester are in trouble. We know no Tielemans, no Fofana. The rumor in the Twitterverse of Leicester is that Rodgers is out soon or may walk. We have Everton getting a draw at Palace. They still can't score. The only reason I bet on that draw against Nottingham Forest was I was like, Everton can't score. And I didn't think Nottingham Forest would score either. And then Palace just whooped Aston Villa. Like, it's just not good. I don't know what to do with Gerrard. I like him. He looks the part. He looks right. He says the right things. Can he coach? I don't know. That killed my parlay because I had Palace and my friends in Brentford, but I didn't really put together. I mean, I may have said it on the pod. It's a West London derby. It's stuff from the Championship. It's two teams that you're just like, hey, you know, we're the undercard on like a Championship fight where the guys are just like bulldogs. And like the heavyweight fight sucked, but those two flyweights, they beat the fuck out of each other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested. Both of the teams you just mentioned have a real look in the mirror game coming up. Chelsea away for Leicester. That could be it for the barrage. That could be it. Especially if Chelsea finds there's it's almost like Leicester right now is, you know, there's a joke amongst Tottenham fans.
They're still giving up goals on set pieces. Like,
no, I understand, but like the joke is the doctor will see you now, Dr. Tottenham. Whatever's wrong with you, if you play Tottenham, it'll fix it, right? That feels like Leicester right now, and so that could be a get it right game for Chelsea, and then West Ham have had a tough go of it so far. They had a bad opening loss to Bournemouth, fine, but where they had just lost to Brighton, tough opponent. Nobody's pretending that they're not. And then, what was it? The Nottingham Forest game. They should have won by a comfortable margin.
Comfortable margin, yeah. But that's luck, right?
I'm confusing them in Villa. West Ham had played City, where they made the look ordinary. They had a tough one against Forest, and then they just lost to Brighton. So I actually like West Ham in that game. Excuse me, not Villa. I'm getting ahead to Thursday.
They haven't scored though.
Against Villa, this could be another game where Villa gets really in trouble, and now
there can only be one. It's a cage match. There can only be one claret and blue. We already lost one. Burnley's gone. Now we have this red no sponsor on Forest. I don't know what to do with that thing. I'm like,
I love it.
Are they professionals? Like, what are they doing? They're just running around in red like there's bulls running around. I'm like, what the hell's happening?
But no, I think.
By the way, what did you think of the Liverpool "I'm on acid" squiggly line shirt? I didn't like it at all. I thought it was uncomfortable.
My wife liked the collar, and she thought it was very British. Okay. And
I didn't like I didn't. The squiggly bothered me.
I'm sorry, that was United's. That's right. The white and the. I don't like when red teams wear blue. I think it is sacrilegious, and I think the opposite as well. Right, and I get that I'm an idiot, and that's fine, and I'm a simpleton. But I just find it – I guess United's the only one that gets a pass technically because of the Munich Air thing and whatever. But, it's just stay in your fucking lane. The problem with that is that, you know, you run into the scenario where when you play United, when you play another red team, Arsenal, you know, you have those things. But, like, just be white with some kind of red design on it. It's not that fucking hard. And now what I'll say is the third jersey – You want to go batshit crazy with the third? Knock yourself out. Go crazy. That is literally what it is for. Yeah. But there should be some kind of template that has differences.
I think City are wearing red stripes. We're going to look like Bournemouth in our.
That's fucking ridiculous. Yes, another one. I saw that and I was like, "This is dumb."
We had it first. We've been around wearing that red. Our FA Cup from 1981. If it goes all the way,
then but you can change your friends. You can change your underwear. You can't change your club, and you can't change your club's colors. All right. So
the teams that I'm worried about. I'm worried about Villa. I don't like what I see there. I love Palace. I love Brentford, Fulham. Mitrovic with a glancing header goal. They still don't have Harry Wilson. What's going to happen when he shows up? Maybe they don't need him. I don't know. But I was upset because Ivan Toney offside twice. I know I spent 2 years ago, I spent every other episode yelling about VAR. I still hate it. I still don't want it. And I still hate offside goals that are against the spirit of the law, but exact of the law.
Rashford's goal today, I thought was offside on VAR. I don't understand now that
I think they made the lines fatter, so there's a little.
They did. There's
a little leeway.
Right.
They should make it like 3 feet wide.
I think we said said last year, like I think the Band-Aid answer is to have a grace period, right?
Yeah.
To basically, which gives advantage to the forward,
which is what it should be,
which is what we want, right? So yeah. So
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. So we've got some things coming up. We have what? Champions League playoffs.
Oh yeah.
And the draw.
So next time we talk to you folks, we will know the Champions League groups for the 2022 season. 2022.
Come on, Odegaard.
So, but before that, so Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, we will be seeing the very, very final, the second leg of the qualification playoffs for 16 teams, 6, 10, I don't know. No, there's 12 matches. So holy shit. Sorry. There's 12 matches because there's 2 legs. There's 12 teams for playing for 6 spots. So we've got Benfica up 2-0 on Dynamo Kiev. They'll be at home. I don't know how to say it. Maccabi Haifa, who I remember from Chelsea's group a few years ago.
That's an Israeli team.
Is an Israeli team. They're up 3-2 on some Russian team I'm not even going to try to pronounce. Trabzonspor, which I have heard of before, is down 2-1 to Copenhagen. Oh. I'm rooting for Copenhagen just because I like the Danes. And we're PSV and Rangers is probably the most high profile.
We want Rangers.
We want Rangers, and
because people going to the Ibrox is like going to war.
Yes, and we all want to be in Rangers group because that's an easy travel day. And then Bodo Glimt is taking on Dynamo Zagreb, and they're up 1-0.
Are you ready for one of their nicknames?
Yeah,
the Ghoul Horde, the Yellow Horde.
God, these people are just. Every time we talk about you guys, it gets better. We love you. And the funny thing is...
So the coach's name is Kjell Knutson.
So that's the bad guy from Die Hard.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the metadata in Google still doesn't have your team's crest correctly, which if you guys want to talk to the alphabet about that, I would not.
By the way,
we will sign the petition.
Just to give you a sense, right? Bodo Glimt, 2-time under Knudsen, 2-time Elite Serien League champions, 20 and 21. He's the 3-time coach of the year in Norway. Mm-hmm. Someone give this man a job. What is he, a murderer? Like, what are you guys doing?
He might be. He killed a lot of people in Die Hard. So
Glint is the meaning flash in English. So
my God,
Boda Flash.
So Zagreb, you know what? Here's the thing. We're not afraid of you because we live in just as cold a place, and we're coming for you.
Not cold.
Great!
It's in Croatia.
Oh, I'm thinking of it in Russia. Whatever.
No. But it is they're literally the most evil. Set fire to your mother. They have police escorts, like hardcore.
That's why ultras. I remember hearing about them.
They are murderers. They have definitely killed Muslims or Catholics or Orthodox or all 3. I
just assumed Russian. So
no. It's old school. But
I was close because they sound like old school Russians.
They're all pissed off because the Ukrainians and the Russians had to go to war. They wanted to be the moniker of like last European country to go to war. And now they're fucking just a footnote. So
yeah.
Who cares about the old Balkan War?
So keep an eye on that if you've got nothing to do in the next few days. And then Thursday, I believe at noon Eastern time, which is super great because it used to be like 7 a.m. Eastern. We have the Champions League draw. So very, very excited for that. We should learn the fixtures and the groups and all that. We'll talk about that on Thursday. But Laurent, anything else you got for us?
I'm done.
All right, let's get the hell out of here then.
That was the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent 14. That's me. We are the football wing of the Chop Sports Network. We record on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or record, depending on how you speak. So be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode. Please rate and review the show. We need you. We need you. We need you. Thank you and good night. Goodbye.